Probably the good news is that overall there was either a flat price, the cost of production was flat to up or to down slightly compared to what it was the year before, and that occurred primarily because of there was a drop in seed prices, there was a drop in fertilizer costs, and those were probably the two biggest things. Not all costs went down, but this is an aggregate across all input costs.
You know, I forgot that. Why did the seed prices go down? Is it just another supply and demand thing?
The issue with seed is it's a supply and demand situation, and it tends to follow the commercial market down, particularly the fresh market. The 2012 crop was a bad price year for fresh market growers, and therefore they backed off on plantings, not just on the Norcotas, but some on the Burbanks as well. There was less demand, and that basically meant the prices were going to fall.
How do you explain the fertilizer drop?
The fertilizer, it goes back to basic economics. Prices were high for an extended period of time, and it encouraged the manufacturers to increase production. And that's basically what was happening. They basically were able to meet the demand, the increased demand we've seen because of higher commodity prices, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. And that encourages growers to plant more acreage, which increases the demand for fertilizer. And it also encourages growers to maybe put on more fertilizers when they have that opportunity to recover that cost because of higher commodity prices. And so that basically helped in that regard. Well, it's one of the good things, even over the last few years, we've had extremely volatile prices for a lot of inputs, fertilizer, fuel, and some of the chemicals. And then we have had problems like the zebra chip showing up in Idaho, and that drove up costs because growers had to put on more applications of insecticides. So the last few years have been extremely volatile, and we've seen prices increase pretty substantially. But looking in the crystal ball into the future, things look like things are going to stay a lot calmer across a lot of the inputs. But one of the benefits the last several years is the low interest, historically low interest rates that farmers are paying. And that's likely to hold true through 2014. Even though the Fed has indicated that they're going to start reducing the quantitative easing, they've also pledged to maintain low interest rates until they feel that the economy is sufficiently moving along at a pace that they think is sustainable. And so that's probably not likely to occur at least until 2015, and possibly even some people talk about 2016 before we'll see significant increases in the interest rate.
What else do you see for 2014?
Well, sort of recapture some of the benefit that growers saw last year was less expensive seeds. Seed costs are going to go up in Idaho, and again, we'll probably see a greater percentage increase on the Norcotas because those prices drop more, and we'll also see an increase on the Burbanks as well. So probably somewhere between a 5 to 15% increase in seed costs. Again, it's going to vary somewhat based on the variety and also it may not impact all growers. Some growers have multiple year contracts, particularly some of the processed growers. So again, when I talk in these costs changes, it's an aggregate for the industry, and it does not impact all growers. So seed will be certainly one of those inputs that's going up. Probably the good news on the fertilizer is, again, I'm projecting that things should stay flat or even possibly decrease somewhat. Again, it goes back to looking at the fundamentals. The supplies should be more than adequate because of increased production capacity, whether or not you're talking about nitrogen or phosphorus or potash, and then also looking at a decrease in aggregate demand, because as commodity prices fall, there was probably some land that will come out of production worldwide. People, or farmers in general, don't put on as much fertilizer, and therefore we see a sort of a decrease in the demand, which should mean prices will stay stable or even down somewhat from 2013.